Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. And in this show, we talk about Plymouth County real estate. This is a report taped in June about May activity in Plymouth County. Our headline for the month was Plymouth County real estate market remains active. And you'll hear from the numbers that I'm about to show you as to why that became our headline. So I'm going to draw your attention to a bar chart that's coming across the screen. It's a chart on deeds. Deeds are sales of property in Plymouth County. You can see how cyclical they are and how they move around. There were 793 sales in Plymouth County in the month of May. It's the largest number of sales in Plymouth County since last October. It's 2% higher than last year to date. Last May, there were 806 deeds, which is a little bit higher, but it is higher than the 637 deeds recorded in April 2014. The next image you're going to see is an image of mortgages. You can see how the number of mortgages over the past year have dropped significantly. A lot of people have stopped refinancing. There are still mortgages out there that people are using to purchase homes. But we did see a little bit of an increase in mortgages in the month of May. There were 1,427 mortgages recorded, up from 1,292 in April. It's the highest number of mortgages we've seen since last December. Obviously, part of that is the increase in sales, but obviously there are some people out there that are still refinancing their mortgages. So we're down 39% in the number of mortgages recorded at the registry from last year at this time, which shows you the number of people that have stopped refinancing. Despite what I have to say are some great rates out there. You're going to hear a report in our next segment from one of our residential mortgage companies that will talk about those. Foreclosure deeds are down significantly. You can see that bar chart. The lowest number of foreclosure deeds, 18, since we began tracking this information. That's very significant. The next chart you're going to see is a chart of foreclosure notices. We had a couple of months where the notices jumped up significantly. In May, they happened to drop a little bit. The overall picture of foreclosure deeds being down, sales being up, is a sign of a healthier marketplace. And the next image you're going to see is an image of foreclosures by community. We've done this report for a number of years. The city of Brockton and the town of Plymouth have had the highest number of foreclosure deeds and foreclosure notices, a foreclosure notice being the first step in the foreclosure process. And although those numbers are down significantly all around the county proportionally, they're still higher in Brockton and Plymouth. I just want to comment that our training room that we set up that I've talked about on the last couple of shows has been a great success. We'll be suspending that for the month of July and August. We'll be back online in September. We've had hundreds of people come through our office and learn how to do the online search in a better way, from professionals in the real estate market, attorneys, real estate sales people, as well as municipal employees who can use the records to do it more efficiently. And in my next segment, we're going to have two great guests. Tim Martin, a business development officer at Rockland Federal Credit Union, and Ken Kanye of Salem 5 Mortgage. Thank you. We'll see you in the next segment.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley, the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. And I have two great guests with me today. So I'd like to welcome Ken Gagne.
Gagne.
Thank you, Ken. Ken is the Senior Vice President at Salem 5 Mortgage. And Timothy Martin, Business Development Officer for Rockland Federal Credit Union.
Thank
Thanks,
you, John.
Tim. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you coming to the show, and as we talked before, it was a little bit on short notice, but I very much appreciate you coming here. We just try to share information across Plymouth County with the people that watch this show that are interested in what's happening in the real estate market. On my front end, a little history in the back end, but primarily in this segment, just something that they can go away with. In this case, I have an expert in residential mortgages and an expert in commercial mortgages. So first, Ken, why don't you just give our viewers a little background about
Sure.
who you are and how you get in the business?
Sure. Ken Gagne, I work in Plymouth. I work for Salem 5 Savings Bank. We're a mutually held bank in Massachusetts. We've been serving the community since 1855. And in our Plymouth location, where I work out of, we opened it in 1991. So we've been down on the South Shore since 1986. And then we opened Plymouth in 1991, and I've been there for 23 years.
Oh, great.
So I work primarily with consumers, trying to help them buy houses, refinance houses, build houses, renovate houses, anything in the housing side of it, that's what I work on.
Great. And Tim, a little background about you, how you got into the business?
Sure, John. Tim Martin with Rockland Federal Credit Union. I've been with Rockland about 9 or 10 years. My background prior to that was real estate related, conveyancing attorney, title examiner, investor, those types of things. I've been a longtime member of Rockland Federal Credit Union. The credit union is a not-for-profit organization. We've been in existence since about 1922, and we don't have customers, we have members. So anyone who has an account with us is a member, and they own the credit union. So my role is to service the membership in their commercial financing needs.
Great. So let's talk about where we are in residential mortgages right now, Ken. I mean, clearly we've seen over the last number of months a significant drop-off in refinancing.
Correct.
Yeah, however, we do see a stronger market in terms of sales across Plymouth County. Although it's a relatively small number, 2% year-to-date, it still is a sign of a healthier marketplace. What are you seeing as you go around?
And that's what we're seeing.
your practice?
We're seeing in our business, we had some regulatory, the Dodd-Frank went into effect beginning of the year, and the weather held the market back in the beginning of the year. But for the last 8 to 10 weeks, it's been busy, very busy.
Sure.
On the purchase side. The refinances rates have gone up. They're still great. They're still in the 4s, but rates are up, and so the refinances are down. But the purchase volume seems to be strong. It's just that there's more buyers than sellers right now, so it's an inventory issue right now, is what it seems like.
So when you say up, what is your typical 30-year fixed mortgage right now?
Right now, right around 4 to 4 1/4.
I remember when they were 16 and 18.
So right.
Right.
They're still great.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Tim, the commercial side?
The commercial side's been very active over the last couple of years in a positive way. Prior to that, we've been coming out of the recession, as everybody knows, and over the first, say, 6, 7 years ago, it was tough. We worked with our members back at that time, and we modified a lot of commercial loans, restructured, and thankfully the rates had come down to a point where it made it worthwhile for a lot of people to take advantage of that. And the business owners certainly did. They repositioned, we modified, we got them in a better place, and most of our members are doing much better today as a result. Today, over the last 2 years, I've seen quite a tick up in the speculative construction. We've been doing some residential speculative construction, and it's gone very well. We work with a lot of seasoned builders who are members, and they've come to us from other places where maybe they weren't getting great service or rates and terms. So they've been good to work with. I also see a lot of the small mom and pop businesses who need smaller loans for equipment. They're starting to expand, whereas a couple of years ago they really couldn't. Now I'm starting to see that. So they'll come to us for equipment loans, those types of things, maybe adding onto their building. So I do see activity out there. People are really working hard. I see it, and that's made me encouraged to work for the members.
Right. No, Ken mentioned what is a catchphrase to most people now, Dodd-Frank, a bill named after Senator Chris Dodd of Connecticut and Congressman Barney Frank of Massachusetts, basically that imposed some new regulations on mortgages after the post-2008 meltdown. Has that had an impact on commercial lending also?
It hasn't had an impact on us. We don't sell our loans. They're all in-house. We fund them all. We own them. We service them. So we don't sell them to a secondary market. So we haven't been affected by those consumer regulations. I hear a lot of it on Ken's side of the house, and thank God I don't have to work over there. I know it's really difficult, and that they always have a lot of regulations they're working through. But on the commercial side, we don't have that burden.
Right. And so I think the general public has a sense that things have gotten to be more complicated. They hear Dodd-Frank, they don't really know what it means, but they know that in many cases people say it's more difficult to get a mortgage.
It's more labor intensive. It's more, there's more regulations. So we're always, we have great compliance people that are trying to always keep us in compliance, which they do a great job at. But for the consumer, it's more paperwork. It's more documentation. It's there's been appraisal guidelines that have changed. So everything's just tightened up a little bit over the last year and a half, 2 years.
Now, what is the primary way that you reach your proposed marketplace, people that are looking for mortgages?
Most of our loan officers are out in the community, calling on attorneys and accountants and realtors and different referral sources out in the community, whether it be through networking, Chamber of Commerce.
Right. So how has it been going so far in 2014?
2014, it's like I said, it started off slow because of the weather.
Yes.
But it's been for the last, probably since March, it's been busy.
Right.
So we're encouraged about where the market's going. It does seem like rates are staying low at this point in time, which helps people with the lower payments and helps people get into houses. So we're encouraged by it.
So a lot of people talked over the first few months of the year about our weather conditions, which, we're in New England. A lot of people assume that everyone is used to it, but we did see an impact at the registry in terms of filings, just in terms of general interest. Did you see that in commercial lending at the beginning of 2014, the first 3 or 4 months?
I would say it was a little slower in the first few months as far as new activity. Some of the commercial loans take a little longer to close for a number of reasons. But our members they show up, they respond, they do have a lot of needs out there. So it has picked up. We did see a little bit of a downturn probably in the first few months. Maybe it was because of the weather, maybe just the time of year also.
Right. So does your job encompass bring in new members into the bank too, as well as the servicing of the members?
Sure. Most of our new members come in right through the branch level.
Okay.
So when they come in, they open an account, they are a member. But I also I get a lot of the new members from word of mouth. A member had a good relationship with me or somebody else, and they need a loan. Contact Tim Martin Rockland Credit Union, and I can qualify them as a member. They open an account, and they become a member.
So let's talk a little bit about going forward. Today is June 11th. We're getting into some summer months, and fall is always a good time for activity, and we're really in the construction season for
Correct.
your loan. So where are we going over the next several months?
Good point on the construction loans. We broke a lot of projects starting in the late spring because of the weather,
Right.
and we're seeing those really come through right now. And I do see a pipeline building up for the early fall. A lot of the contractors are going to want to get their foundations in before the winter hits again. It's a quick cycle.
Right.
So I have gotten a lot of phone calls from the members about that, and we're lining up our fall activity for construction. They want to be in the ground September, October, and have the building framed.
Sure. And generally, what do you see? Do you see ups and downs over months in particular, higher in certain months and lower in other months?
Yeah, I think during the summer months, July and August, things, people are on vacation,
Right.
the kids are out of school, so things tend to slow down a little bit. This year will be, I think, a little bit different, just because the cycle's got a little thrown off during the winter months. So I think it should be a busy summer going into the fall.
So I always think that it's very interesting for people that come on the show to tell people that are watching the show how to get ready, what they can best do to get ready for a mortgage, in your case a residential mortgage, in your case a commercial loan. What would your best advice be to anybody watching out there getting
Sure.
ready to get a mortgage to purchase a home at this point?
The first thing it is really you need to contact a lender, contact at Salem 5. Our loan officers are out in the community working with people to get pre-qualified for a mortgage, which is always the first step. And it's putting together the financial information, putting together bank statements and pay stubs, and meeting with a licensed professional to help them along their journey.
Sure. And Tim,
Similar in the, we ask them to gather their financials, their tax returns. Some people are on extension, so you might not see that until the fall. But I also, even before they get that far, I said, do you mind if I come out and meet with you? It's your business, rather than come into the credit union. We'd love to have you come into the credit union, but I want to understand your business, and that will help us with your requirements. So that's usually the first step, is go out and meet with the member or the prospective member, and for me to understand their business.
great. So I know people, tune in to our show, they walk around the room. I've heard that before. So I'm going to ask you to give your contact information a couple of times while we're talking. Can you do that right now, please?
Sure. Tim Martin, Rockland Credit Union, 1-800-562-7328. My extension is 147. My email is pretty simple. It's tmartin, T-M-A-R-T-I-N, @rfcu.com.
And yours?
It's
Thanks, Ken.
Ken Gagne at Salem 5, and the number is 800-445-8600. And my email is ken.gagne@salem5.com.
So I know we're not economists, but I always like to pick everyone's brain a little bit who are experts in the field and certainly qualify for that under any standard. Where do you see us going over the next 3 or 4 years in terms of residential lending and general home purchases? Tough question.
That's a tough question. I mean, I do think that it seems like the economy's picking up. The jobs number was a strong number last week, so I do think rates may go up over the next 3 or 4 years. That's kind of what they're talking about. But if jobs come back, then housing will come back, and it's already started to. I mean, jobs have been, the last 3 months have been great, and you can see the purchase market starting to pick up. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a strong market.
There seem to be a lot of nervous buyers out there, homeowners, because they've seen the things that have happened over the last decade, and a lot of people, I think, are renting longer than they would have traditionally, and the down payment issue is a tough thing for a lot of people. Any advice for those people sitting on the fence?
I mean, there's programs out there, and that's the one thing, especially for first-time home buyers, that's one thing that we've always prided ourselves on, is really getting to know the first-time home buyer market. And right now in Plymouth County, there's some no money down programs out there through USDA, which is a great program. There were some questions on whether the government was going to continue offering it in this area, and they did. So that program's out there. There's mass housing programs out there with 3% down, and then there's an FHA program with 3.5% down. So there are programs still available, low down payments.
And I refer to 2008, Tim, because as a register of deeds, we started to see the problems a little bit earlier than that, and all of a sudden the whole economic marketplace came tumbling down. And so as a result of that, there were a lot of vacant commercial properties out there, renovations that are needed in commercial properties. Have you seen any change in trying to deal with that, the fallout from that crisis in your business?
I've seen a lot of the retail space become available. A lot of that has to do with the outcome of that will be based on the strength of the landlord. I do think there's a lot of availability. I think the retail space is 15-20% available out there, but I think it's stabilized. Small business people are coming back to the marketplace. They're not going great guns. They're very cautious, which is wonderful. But I do see them coming back slowly. It'll be a long time for that absorption rate, though. On the residential construction side, I see that picking up.
Mm-hmm. So in a situation where somebody has evacuated a commercial building for several years, and we're seeing a lot of that around,
Correct.
Particularly in some of our more cities and towns that have more distress than others. Any particular way you approach something that has been vacant for a while?
Well, we've been fortunate. We don't have a lot of that on our books.
Or your books, but in terms of
right.
somebody looking to purchase
Well, we
one?
do get that. You do get the folks who are looking to buy those, and we'll look at the strength of their business plan to
Right.
get that cash flowing. And if the business plan makes a lot of sense and they're a seasoned person, we'll take a look at it. If it's just more, if it's too speculative, it's way too early for that. I wouldn't even advise someone to just jump in and then say, I'm going to go find a tenant. No, if you don't have some sort of commitment from somebody lined up, or at least a letter of interest, you might want to pause on that.
So what's your last groundbreaking that you're very proud of?
Well, we've done a few industrial properties right here in the Plymouth area.
Right.
With a member. It took a long time, but it wasn't a groundbreaking, but it has grown to a groundbreaking as he's now expanding in the industrial space. So that was exciting.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And I remember when the boom years at the registry, it was a very happy place.
Right.
The realtors would come in with flowers and gifts, and everyone was very, very happy. and we're starting to see that.
See it again, yeah.
And I'm sure that when you close a mortgage and the sale goes through, that's a very happy result on your end too.
Yeah, no, and I think you're going to see things hopefully continue to pick up.
Right. So I know we're coming to the end. Dory's given me a little heads up that we need to wrap it up. But I think it's very important, one more time, to share your contact information
Sure.
because you obviously are very both skilled in your field, and people ought to feel comfortable giving you a call if they have any questions. And I'd just like to share that one more time.
It's Ken Gagne at Salem 5, 800-445-8600. And my email is ken.gagne, Gonye, at salem5.com.
And Tim, one more time.
John, I want to thank you. Tim Martin, Rockland Federal Credit Union, 1-800-562-7328, extension 147. And my email is tmartin@rfcu.com.
Well, thank you again. And again, I apologize for the late notice, but you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, John.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks, John.
Yeah, great.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. In this segment of our show, we try to do something a little lighter in nature. But first, I want to thank my two great guests in segment 2. I want to thank Ken Gagne of Salem 5 Mortgage and Tim Martin of Rockland Federal Credit Union. They did a great job explaining what's happening out there in the residential mortgage market, in the commercial mortgage market. So I'd like to talk about a couple of the holidays in June. June is a great month for all of us that have suffered through some seasonal issues this year. It is the holiday month that celebrates Flag Day on June 14th, Father's Day this year on June 15th, and the first day of summer on summer solstice on June 21st. Last month we talked about some of our great parks around Plymouth County. This month we're going to talk about a couple of our lighthouses in our notable land record collections. We have a collection of our notable land records, records that have been filed at the registry over hundreds of years, and we've developed, through the help of volunteers, stories about each of them. The one you're going to see on the screen right now is an image about Scituate Light. Scituate Light is a very historic location out on Cedar Point in Scituate, in a site of some very historical activities. The one I'm going to talk about today is when the lighthouse keeper's daughters, Rebecca and Abigail Bates, gathered a group of people living in Scituate at the time together as a British frigate was about to enter Scituate Harbor. They banged on drums and played the fife and had everyone nearby stomping as if an army was there ready to attack the frigate. The frigate turned around and left Scituate Harbor. There's a couple other very famous things. Anyone in the Navy will know that off the Scituate Lighthouse, a battle occurred when the Navy slogan Don't Give Up the Ship came out of the captain's mouth at the time. It's a great place to visit, great place to drive and sit and watch the boats go in and out of Scituate Harbor. Certainly one of our great historical sites. Another one that I want to talk about is Gurnet Light, Plymouth Light. It is at the entrance of Plymouth Harbor, Gurnet Point, and it was established as a lighthouse back in 1768. There were numerous lighthouses that were there over the years. At one point, the lighthouse keeper was John Thomas and his wife Hannah. John Thomas went off to fight in the Revolutionary War. He was killed while he was away from the lighthouse, and his wife Hannah was manning the lighthouse. She was then appointed to be the lighthouse keeper. Hannah Thomas is known as America's first female lighthouse keeper. A great story, and if you ever get a chance to get out and visit and tour the lighthouse over the summer, I know they have some tours that the association that manages it runs. We're also working on a couple other lighthouses with volunteers. There's a lighthouse on Bird Island Light that leads into Marion Harbor, a lighthouse at Ned's Point in Mattapoisett that leads into Mattapoisett Harbor, and other lighthouses around Plymouth County Miners Light that we're working on. But I want to thank Lorna Green Baker from our office and Christine Richards for helping me put this show together. I want to thank Dave Antoine from PAC TV, who helps me get this program together to share it with the viewers in this area. Dory Stoley and Tom Bolus, who helped with the show today, allowing us to share this information, and the information that I had from my guest in segment 2 about mortgages makes people a little bit wiser as to how they approach what is for most people their most valuable asset. So as we close, happy Father's Day, happy Flag Day, happy summer, and I'll see you next month.